What's going on YouTube, 63 here, and today I wanted to make a video on how Fallout 76 might compare to another game in the genre, Rust. Todd Howard was quoted as saying that Fallout 76 would be a softcore survival game, to contrast the likes of Rust, which many would probably agree is quite hardcore. But what about Fallout 76 will make it softcore? Players will be able to use the Construction and Assembly mobile platform, or CAMP, to create a base to work out of where they can create guns and armor, cook food, and presumably store their loot and resources. It's clear that monsters will attack your base, and you and your friends or your neighbors will need to defend it or be destroyed. But what we don't know is how other players will be able to interact with bases of players that they are not in a team with. In Rust, all building starts with the most basic and least durable building material, twig, and can be upgraded to various levels of protection depending on the type of resource being used. You can skip lower levels of durability and go straight to the top if you have the resources, and the doors are either locked with a key, where only the player who places it has access without a key itself, or a code lock which allows you to give a code to players that you trust in order to give them access. This also allows for an easy and seamless way to create an alliance with another player, as now you both have full access to the base and the items inside, and in an ideal world, both players would feel equal responsibility to defend that base to the best of their ability. This also creates one of the more hardcore elements of Rust, where if the door code is leaked publicly, or given to a player with an alternative motive, or God forbid, guessed correctly, that player would also have full access to the base and the loot within, forcing the initial player to rebuild and restart with nothing. Now, if we pause the Fallout E3 gameplay video for a bit, you can see the building options do include options for floors, walls, roofs, stairs, and doors. And with walls selected, it even already comes up with window bars, which is helpful since that ends up being a primary entry point for bases in Rust, built by people who didn't know it was possible. You can see on the left hand side there are at least 9 different types of walls, with some triangle pieces to fill in the gaps from roofs, half walls, ones with slanted sides, and a trapezoid piece at the bottom. I'm not sure how that will be used. Then there are the controls to change the building at the bottom, with modify potentially being used to change the building material and variant to rotate the building piece. Similarly, in Rust, walls have a soft side and a hard side to them, with the soft side taking significantly more damage from simple melee weapons, something you definitely don't want to mix up. I also thought it was interesting in this picture that they are about to place a stone wall, and in the top right it says that it will cost 8 wood in order to do so, and that stone itself will not be one of the basic resources required in the game. Now here I've compiled screenshots of all of the items craftable that are shown in the gameplay clip, and you can see the various materials and components required to make them, including concrete, steel, copper, aluminum, gears, circuitry, oil, screws, rubber, cloth, glass, and plastic. Now if you've ever played a Fallout game before, you know there are items littered all over the place, and almost everything is a container holding some item or worthless trash. Since this is an online game, another aspect of Fallout 76 that has not been directly addressed yet is gathering or harvesting. I have no doubt that you will have to find the screws, gears, plastic, circuitry, and other components throughout the world in abandoned buildings and such, but what about the steel, cloth, wood, aluminum, or even the glass? Maybe you'll find some in certain buildings, but I wouldn't expect there to be a lot of raw materials like that, and if there were, those locations would be camped heavily, I would assume. Would we be required to smelt our own steel, heat up sand and turn it into glass ourselves, chop trees and gather cloth? These aspects will give the game more of a survival aspect, and it will be interesting to see how a company who specializes in creating the experience for a solo player expand to serve the needs of the 24 to 36 players in a server at any given time. The PvP will be a big change from what previous Fallout games are like, and this is where we have the least amount of information. We know the developers don't want dying to be the end of the world, but we don't know what penalty, if any, there will be. As hardcore as Rust is, knowing that with big risk comes the potential for big reward is what brings people back and keeps people watching online. The thrill of scoring big or the heartbreak of losing everything you had pulls on the strings of the heart, and just like on TV, people love drama. We don't know what you'll be able to take from another player when you kill them, or if we can break into players' bases with weapons or only destroy them with nukes, and even after that, can we take the loot from a base that we nuked? Another aspect of Fallout 76 to consider is ownership of the base itself. The devs have said that if when you join a server, a base is already located where yours was, the items will be packed up for you to be placed somewhere else. While that in itself raises many questions, I'm currently more interested in how bases will work with other players in your group. Will we even be able to enter other players' bases in our group? Or does everyone have to hold on to their own loot? If I build a base and a friend and myself store loot inside, if my friend logs on before me, will they have access to the base too? Or if another base is in that spot, will my base be deconstructed and put in my friend's inventory? The answers to these questions will determine how much this game feels like a survival game and how much it feels like an online co-op game with real live neighbors. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell to make sure you don't miss a thing.